Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Hope you guys are doing well. Thanks for joining today. We are back on Trains 2019, and let's see, this was the Coxton sub. Oh yeah, can't imagine why I couldn't remember that. It's like my favorite route in the whole planet. Anyways, we're back on the Cotton Belt Coxton sub in the town of Biliary, and we're going to work on cleaning up and basically more or less completely redoing this industry. So this is on the port branch, which I would say heads south out of town, but it doesn't actually. It actually heads, technically, it starts out heading east and then south and then west and then north. So it actually goes every direction. But yeah, the port branch has a Gasworks, and this is the old Gasworks that they used to supply gas to the city, you know, for heating and lights and all that kind of stuff. And we're going to rework it today, get it kind of more up to not 1820s standards, and also make it not look so horrible. To be fair, it wasn't like terrible, but at the same time, I did build it way back in my teen days, and it's years old, and it was one of the first industries I built on this route, and it just needed a refresh. So here we are. But we are keeping the tracks. We're just changing their arrangement, but we have one track for incoming loads of coal. We have one track for outgoing loads of coke. And wish it was Pepsi. No, I'm kidding. You guys know what Coke I'm talking about. The kind they bring across the border. No, I'm kidding. Actually, yeah. The Coke as in coked coal. Let me not say something so objectionable today. But yeah, and then also it has a track for loading tank cars. The tank cars actually is where all the variety is. They can be loaded with ammonia. They can be loaded with coal tar. What else could they be loaded with? There was something else. Some sort of like sulfur-based compound. Maybe it is sulfur, actually. I need to go back and check. Anyways, I do know that, you know, bituminous coal, for example, that has a lot of bitumen in it, also has a ton of sulfur. I need to go back and look at my notes on this industry. But those are the four main: coal in, coke out, ammonia out, and man, that's a big mental break I'm drawing right there. I should like edit that out. It's okay, you guys can, you know, have some comic relief and laugh for a bit. Coke, ammonia, coal tar. Goodness gracious. I don't know what's up with me on that one. But yeah, that moment right there that you just saw on camera, that was when I wished I already had Trains Plus or Trains 22 because, yeah, DHTrainz needs to save me from that mess. But it's okay. It's okay. So that's the dump track for the coal. The other one with the aggregate loader is for loading up the coke. Pretty much we'll do, you know, for every load of coal that comes in, you get a load of coke out. It doesn't technically work that way in the real world. We're going to roll with it here just to keep it simple. I think when I did some research at one point, I think I found that like for every 5 cars of coal that comes in, it's like 4 cars of coke that go out. So it's not a horrible loss, but it's definitely not one-to-one. And in a bit of fairness, that's because some of that mass is being, you know, formed into other things like gas, for example. But yeah, as far as the lore for this industry goes, by this point in time, it's more, instead of supplying gas to the city, the city's running off natural gas by this point, it's more just here to coke the coal, which is low grade, but that's fine, and it gets shipped off to the steel mill. But, you know, we're not making high quality steel, we're making very low quality steel, mostly just using construction, different industries around the area. So, you know, it's not the highest quality steel, so it's okay to send lower quality coke as well. It doesn't have to be the hottest or the best burning or the cleanest. But that is the purpose here. The coke goes off to the steel mill, but also, in a bit of fairness, goes over to the brick plant as well, which receives coke. I used to say that it receives coal, but then obviously I changed my mind. It gets coke now, which makes more sense anyways. But yeah, we don't do unit trains on any of these industries because they're not large enough. Plus, this is late 60s, early 70s, and not everything was a unit train back then, to be fair. There was a lot more carload traffic, and I like carload traffic, so here we are. But yeah, I've decided to completely revamp the entire industry, so knocked out all the old buildings except for a few tanks, bringing in some new ones. Right now, getting the loading racks in place for loading up the tank cars. I'm not going to do specific car spots for the tank cars, so, you know, it's not like you got to put the sulfur car at the back or the ammonia car at the front, you know, nothing like that. We're not going to be that specific. I do sometimes with certain industries get that specific, but not this one. First up, we're going to lay down a dirt coloring. That's not obviously going to be the final ground texture here, but it will be the base, which is good. And then here we're going to go ahead and start laying out the parking lot for the workers. I'm not going to go into huge, super detail on this today. I do at least get the textures to not look so horrible, by laying a bunch of other city street textures over it, and giving them the twist and stuff. But yeah. Next up was all the gravel there. It's called Stones is the PBR texture. I think it's like PBR Stones 1. But it's definitely, the gravel you see around storage tanks and things just to help protect if there's ever a leak so that it doesn't just go straight into the ground. Also, it makes it really easy to spot a leak because it discolors the gravel. Plus, it's also not a fire hazard, which is kind of a big deal when you're storing flammable liquids like, I don't know, coal tar. I don't know if ammonia is flammable, actually. I wouldn't know. I mean, I could obviously just look, but right now off the top of my head, I don't know. In a bit of fairness, I did not model this industry with any sort of a process flow in mind. I also just kind of threw some random stuff together to give it a good feel. As I mentioned before, I'm definitely an impressionist when it comes to modeling. I'm not going to sit here and design a bunch of highly specific 3D assets to model an industry exactly building for building. It's just not my way of doing things. I have huge respect for those who do. That's not a criticism of those who do. It's just not my way of doing things. I'm much more of an impressionist. So I want to create a representation of the things I see, and that's good enough for me. It doesn't look terrible, but it's not perfect either. And here we're just going to lay out the crossing. I love those little, I guess, 12 meter, not 12 meter, probably 12 foot. Yeah, 12 foot little crossing sections. Get the crossbucks in there. Since that's just within the plant, we're not going to do any sort of like gated crossing or anything like that. And then we're going to get to kind of polishing up the ground a bit, adding some Turfex and clutter and some cars and all that good stuff. Give some life to it. This is definitely an industry. Even after the day, I'll definitely need to come back at some point and add a few more details here and there. But that's probably going to be a post-release edition. By the time we get this done on the video today, it will certainly be good enough for release. But just a good healthy revamp. I do like it. I'm much happier with the way it looks now. It doesn't look so rookie-ish. Like I said, it's still not as detailed as I could finish with. I have a lot I could still do to it, but I'm happy with it for now. I'm going to throw in some of these small bushes around the fence, or the wall, I guess you could call it. And get all those kind of details lined up. When you have a wall or a fence that's been there for a long time, it's just going to have growth up on it. Not everybody weeds around or weed eats around the edge of these things. So it is natural that they would get some undergrowth, and that gives it a bit of a feel. It'd be different if it was a really expensive office front for a really big company. They'd want to have a certain presentation. But at the factory, we're not here to please visitors or give off a nice first impression. We're here to make stuff cheaply and efficiently. So a little bit different focus. But I think after we kind of line the details up with the grasses and the bushes and a few trees here and there, I think that's actually where we cut it today. But check the thumbnail again if you'd like to see kind of a nice view with some cars there and kind of what I expect to see. But yeah, hoppers in, hoppers out, empty tanks in, and loaded tanks out. And that's it. We shipped the ammonia to some fertilizer plants for agricultural use. And we shipped the coal tar mostly off map to get used for different cosmetics and things like that and other chemicals or solvents or whatnot. Coal tar has a huge amount of uses, for the record. So, but yeah, this has been a fun build. I really enjoyed it. It was a little bit shorter than usual, but it's because it got the job done and I was satisfied. So, but thank you guys for watching. I'm going to go ahead and sign myself out here in just a moment, but thanks for being a part of the channel. I'm going to continue working here on this, get back in the groove for knocking out some more stuff on the Coxton sub. So stay tuned, guys. I appreciate it. We'll catch you guys next time.